And Happy New Year to all of you. And welcome to those of you who are new to me from Faith's Holiday Abundance Bundle. I welcome you cheerfully, and I hope I give you something that's useful and get you through this next year. With that in mind, considering that the Abundance Bundle, new people, and the fact that this is the beginning of the year and people think about resolutions and what comes with it generally as they start thinking about goals, I thought I'd be spending some time for the next week or so talking about goals. And in doing that, I found a quote this morning as I was going through it that came from Stephen Kellogg. Now, he's a singer. I don't know who he is. I may have heard him, but I don't recognize the name. Maybe some of you have, so maybe you could tell me. But anyway, that's beside the point. It's better to be at the bottom of the ladder you want. Excuse me, let's start that again. It's better to be at the bottom of the ladder you want to climb than at the top of the one you don't. So because I messed that up, let me do it again. It's better to be at the bottom of the ladder that you want to climb instead of the top at the one you don't. And again, that came from Stephen Kellogg. Sounds like it should have been a line of a song, perhaps, maybe. I don't know. But I know, at least in my lifetime, I've encountered a lot of people who have been engaged in careers that really weren't what they wanted to do. In many cases, they chose something because it was convenient. It just happened to be there. So they took it, they got a job and they just stayed with it. Sometimes it was because frequently parents said, well, if you get into this career because dad did it, mom did it, or whatever, they'd pay their way through school. Maybe because somebody at the office says, okay, if you get in this career, we'll pay for it. Sometimes, some people do get a degree rather, because their organization pays for the most part of it. And then other times they just fall into it, or it's convenient, or for whatever reason. I know I've got a young cousin who's always been interested in one particular field, in this case, psychology, and took classes at school, loved them, did quite well on them. But when it came down to deciding what his major wanted to be, was what his major was going to be and what he wanted to have for a future career, he opted to do what his father was doing. Now, his father didn't force him into this by any stretch of the imagination, but he opted to that because he knew that particular career made money. He's doing fairly well. He's working at it. He's making his money, but I don't get the sense that he's as content with a job that he really, I'm not saying he dislikes it, mind you, but his heart's not in it. Now, he's probably going to go, based on the experience I've had watching other people do this, he's probably going to go through this career for several years, and he's going to have bad days that he's just going to ask himself, why did he do it? But at some point in time, he's probably going to have to face the fact that he pretty much doesn't like his career. And he's going to want to wish that he was into the psychology career, or that he chose something else. Sometimes people make changes and then they quit because you've read or heard of, maybe you've known, maybe even you are one of those. Maybe that's why you're back in school, because you were in this particular position and you just said, okay, this career makes me good money, or this career does whatever, and it was beneficial to you, but you just didn't like it. And you left it. I know that it seems money and fame and everything else like that seems pretty good when you're relatively young. But generally speaking, if you are to use Kellogg's quote, at the bottom or at the top of the rung of a ladder that you don't like, you're not going to be content. Something about that is just not going to be satisfying. The bad days that are coming, and we all have bad days, regardless of whether we like our career or not. I know that they have that statement that if you work in a career you love, you never go to work. Yeah, that's true to some degree, but there's still going to be days in which it's sort of like you bang your head against the wall and say, why did I choose this? Once or twice, it's going to happen. I promise you, it's going to be there if you work long enough in that, any career. But there are going to be more of those kinds of days if you don't like what you're doing, not really, really like it, if your heart's not in it. But if you have something and you're doing something in which your heart's really in it, that you feel like you're accomplishing something, you're feeling like you're meeting something in your soul, so to speak, those days are going to be fewer and farther between. And when you do hit the rock bottom, or get close to what you think is rock bottom, you'll bounce back a lot faster. Maybe you know people who are like this. Maybe you are already there. I don't know. I wish some of you would make comments about that, as to whether or not you've been there and how long it lasted and how long it took you to decide you wanted to change, or regretted the fact that you did not change or whatever. But at this time of year, I think it's a really good time to think in terms of when we set up our goals, what ladders do we want to be on? If you're going to be at the bottom and climbing a ladder, it's going to be a heck of a lot easier to climb a ladder and go through the hurdles that you have to go through to get to something that you actually want to get to, that you enjoy doing, that you can see an end result that you're going to like getting. Um, or if you've got this goal about being something, maybe you, I don't know, want to work for the circus or something like that. And even though it may not necessarily get you to earn a fortune, but you'll be happier doing that because you've achieved a particular goal. Now, granted, you may not stay there. At some point in time, you may be able to say that maybe you get to be 40 or 45 and say, okay, enough. But then what's your other goal? We tend to be happier and more content when we're working toward the goals that just do something for our souls than whether we're doing something because, again, it's convenient or because it earns us money or because people expect it of us or whatever. So you might want to think in terms of the goals you've got this year. Are you doing anything that's making you happy, making you content? Now, maybe you are in a career that you're not really thrilled about, but for whatever reason, you're stuck with it, maybe because it's paying the bills and you've got other things. Maybe you've got a sick child and it's paying the doctor's bills for that and you can't afford to get out and it's satisfactory. But are you doing something that's for you? Are you climbing a ladder or gaining a skill or doing something that you actually enjoy doing that's going to offset those days when you're just feeling like you're beating your head against the wall doing something that you really don't enjoy doing? Again, the younger you are, the more likely you're going to say that this does not matter. The older you are, the more likely you're going to say that, yeah, you agree with me because it does matter. I'm older than probably most of you. I would be willing to bet that I'm probably older than just about anybody who might be listening to this at this moment in time. Might not be, but I'm pretty sure that I probably am, just on this pure statistical probability. But I've noticed that more people over my years that I've noticed, not necessarily over their years, have learned that they have to be doing something that sets them on fire, that gets them happy, that they feel really good doing. And I think this sort of intuitively makes sense. So my question to you is, or my challenge to you for this week is to think in terms of, even if you're stuck in a situation that you're not thrilled about at this moment, is there something that you can find, as a ladder you can find to start climbing, to do something that you want to do? It might be just small, it might be a hobby. It might be something that you used to do that you're no longer doing. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you played an instrument when you were in high school and you sort of got out of it when you got out of high school. Is there a way you can get back into it? Maybe you wanted to do, I don't know, drama again when you were in high school, or maybe you've always wanted to do something and never had a chance. Is there a way you can get into some kind of little theater group in your local community, or maybe start one, or just to try and see it out? Because the thing about it is you're going to get to a point in time, might be 40th birthday, it might be a 70th birthday. You're going to wake up and wonder, I wonder what would have happened if. I wonder what would have happened if. And that's going to be a miserable point because you'll never know. And so it's better to try something and discover that, oh, gee, this is what it wasn't as much fun as I thought it was. I really don't like it. And say, okay, well, at least I learned, than it is to go through life wondering about what would have happened and wanted that to be a goal and you never tried it. So let's look at this year when you're looking at goals to try and see if you can do something, investigate something to see if you can maybe do it part-time or volunteer or some such thing like that to get a taste of it, to see if that's really what you want. Now, I will admit you may have depends on how you want to take a look at it. What may happen is that you may discover that you really, really love it and you enjoy doing your volunteer work more than you do your own job, but at least you know. And then you just have to figure out what you're going to do about it and maybe figure out how to make some changes into your life that's going to work. Because again, if you've got that goal and you really want to make it work, you can probably make it work if you're really gung-ho for it and set that up as a goal. Now, having said that, one of the things I'm going to be working on, in fact, I am working on now, and hopefully I'll have it by the end of the month, if not the beginning of February, is something about SMART goals and a little product that will help you and identify the SMART goals if you don't know what they are, to help you achieve some of your goals. So maybe that you've got to figure out, okay, this is really what I want to do, but I don't know how to do it. Let's see if maybe the SMART goal process will be able to help you figure out how to get some of that into your life, if that makes sense. So I hope this gave you something to think about. Again, remember, what's it going to be like when you get to be, let's just say 60, and you wake up and say, gee, I wonder what would have happened if. Do you want to wait to that point to discover that you missed an opportunity, or do you just want to try and at least look at it now? It's a question I'm going to leave you with for today. So hopefully you've got to thinking about it. If you have any questions, again, just shoot me a reply and ask me, and we will chat with you later. Bye.